Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today we have a real treat as we are talking with the cast and creatives of the hot new show, The Rookie Feds. We're going to kick things off by introducing you to the AAFCA members who are on the call today, starting with our facilitator, Katia Woods in Philadelphia, Karan Lenoir in Charlottesville, Virginia, Nancy Green in Baltimore, Jill Monroe in Los Angeles, and Rhonda Rasha Penrice in Atlanta, along with our favorite radio personality, Ray Cornelius, also in Atlanta. I'm gonna let you guys do what you do so well, and I'll see you on the other side.
Need a ride?
John Nolan, people are gonna start to talk.
Oh, let them talk.
Simone Clark, FBI. And the fact that I'm here should scare the hell out of you. I'm not 25. If I want a real career, I gotta shine right out the gate.
It's all right. You got this.
We're fast.
Ray Cornelius here with Upfront Inside Atlanta's entertainment industry. Guys, this is an amazing show. Loved every episode. Miss Niecy Nash, loved you as well, and wanted to talk with you and Mr. Frankie Faison about that dynamic father-daughter relationship. I loved the relationship between you guys. I love that we're seeing a sort of a I guess middle age, I could say, living with her dad. I'm there right now, so I felt like I totally understood it because I'm taking care of my mom. So let's talk about that dynamic if we can.
Well, let me just say, first of all, I love Frankie. I love him as my TV dad, and I love him as an off-camera person, you know, when we are just on set together. Love him, love him, love him. What I love about our relationship that Terrence and Alexi have created is that it is complex, like real relationships often are. Nobody in our family has the same ideas about every single thing. So to set it up for people who may not know exactly the inner workings of our relationship, my father was incarcerated for 8 years for a crime he did not commit. A federal investigation exonerated him. So he has a very bad taste in his mouth when it comes to law enforcement. As a matter of fact, he is the head of the defund the police movement in our community. However, his daughter has decided, she saw this the situation very differently. Wow, this entity exonerated my dad. I want to go help other people. I want to be in the FBI, you know. And so where her father is like, get from over there. Those people are not, you know, nice. I'm saying, but this is how you make change, Daddy, by going in from the inside. So we are fundamentally opposed to law enforcement, but we have so much love for each other, and you get to watch that dynamic play out.
And piggying back off of Niecy, I'd like to say that, you know, this, from the very first moment that we met, this is the first time we've worked together and actually have met, but from the very first moment, it was like family. And I think that Niecy, she embraces family the same way that I do. And so that just rolls right over into what we are doing as these characters. It's effortless. We just, there are things that we do is like, familiar, that are so familiar that father and daughter would be doing. And I embrace that and I appreciate it. I love you, Niecy, and I love, you know, just being your TV dad and being your pal off, because we have all kinds of antics going on, you know, off the camera as well. But I just wanted to just mention one thing that Niecy said that I find very important to bring to this relationship is the fact that it's only been so far that I can remember one situation in which we really talked about, where she talks about how difficult it must have been for me being, you know, in prison like that, and she uses that to make another point about something else, and which says that, like, Dad, I understand what you went through, but that's over, and you're here now, and you're, I'm doing something, and I hope that you can just have the vision or be open enough to embrace and support me in what I'm doing. And as a loving father, I mean, I do, and it helps to cement. I mean, the writers, they've all just latched on to who we are as human beings, Nisi and myself, and it just, I don't go to work. I don't have to learn stuff. I just have to live and embrace it, and then just let it come out. And through the words of the amazing writers, and through the amazing relationship that we have, I appreciate you. I'm so happy to be there with you. And thanks to all the writers and everything else. It's just right there. So that's my story for now.
Thank you guys, and congratulations.
Jill Monroe, Access to the Life. My question is for Terrence and Alexi. I want to know, what was your inspiration in creating this series, especially in creating Nisi's character, a middle-aged Black woman in these particular circumstances? There's a lot of ways that this series could have gone, but what was your inspiration to direct it in this manner?
Terrence, you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, we came up with, again, the whole thesis of The Rookie, which Alexi created, the original series, is about, having a second chance. It's never too late to try to find that place where you want to go. And so when we were thinking about what's the next step of that, this character started coming to us, this idea of Simone. Alexi had this brilliant idea about making her a former high school guidance counselor. And then we started playing a little jazz, he and I, about, okay, how about she's originally from Los Angeles, but then she went out to DC, and now she's got to come back. And then the character of Cuddy came in, and we're like, oh, this is gonna be a brilliant way to kind of have it, be a little bit messy, but with love. And then what really hit was when Alexi and I were very fortunate to get a meeting, which wasn't easy, with Miss Nisi Nash Betts. And when we shared with her what we had, and then she started joining our duo became a trio. And she started bringing all these brilliant, fun, delicious little pieces of specificity about who this character is. And we're like, oh yeah, we're taking that, and we're taking that. And then she even let us take some things from our own personal life, which was an honor, that she blessed us and said, hey, you can come, hey, you can have this. And we were able to incorporate that into the story. And then it just made this fully fleshed out character of this woman who lives out loud, not asking for forgiveness, and just completely in her own, comfortable in her own skin. And it's just like this wonderful dynamic character, one that we just don't see enough of, especially on network TV, and especially with Nisi bringing her to life. It's gold. So that's where it came from. Alexi might have a little more details of stuff that I maybe missed out.
No, I mean, I think that's a great encapsulation. I mean, I just think that as a police show, in today's times, we're just really try and be as self-aware as we can about, and this started back on The Rookie from its inception, but also, after George Floyd was killed, we took a hard look at ourselves and the stories that we had told. And I said this earlier, but, I actually tasked a few writers with doing a report card, like go back through all our episodes and how did we do? I mean, did we, and for the most part, we did really well, because we had always tried to be aspirational about cops doing things the right way. But at the same time, we were also portraying a version of policing that is alien to a big part of the population. And so that was sort of our mission starting in season 3, is how do we talk about policing? How do we have our characters grounded more in the real world of policing and the issues from systemic injustice to police union issues and all that kind of stuff? And so it was a natural progression for us going into Feds, especially with Nisi as our star, to sort of lean into that. I mean, the FBI has a long history of injustice and intemperance. And so how do we bring a character like Nisi into that world and put her in a special unit that is trying to shake things up, and just have her be, a woman who's used to being her own advocate because she had to be? How do you put her in that world and have her navigate through that? So, and at the same time, be a show that people look forward to watching and have fun with, and is an escapist and all that. And so it's sort of a lot to carry, but, I feel like we can't be a police show in this day and age without being self-aware.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy Green with Film Critique. My question is for Nisi and Frankie. So I wanted to know, you both are from very popular, or you have been in very popular cop shows before. Of course, Niecy with Reno 911 and Frankie with The Wire. And so, or at least, so I wanted to know, what do you feel like you learned on those series that you can bring to this, especially since from what I noticed, Rookie Feds is very different?
Well, I'll go first. What I learned from Reno is what not to do on Rookie Feds. I play a Keystone Cop over there. This is a very, very different show. But the upside of the takeaway from Reno to this show is that you can fight crime and still be cute.
Nice.
Yeah, I learned that too from Niecy just now. Thank you. No, but from The Wire, I learned that I bring into this show. I learned that there's a sense of family that's included in all walks of life, including law enforcement. And like I say, we usually put them in a one-dimensional box, where they're just being people with, enforcing the law. It's important to realize that these people have families, and they have situations with family situations that sort of like overlap into their professional work lives. And one moment you may be talking to your father or your daughter or somebody about one thing and have to spring into action into something else, in your job. And I learned that is a very, very important element. We cannot leave the family side of your life behind and think that, you can just walk the straight and narrow without including that. So I think that's what I learned. And I feel like I want to continue to move that forward, especially in this show, The Rookie Feds, because it's, here I am, I'm playing someone who has been incarcerated, who is like defund police, there are a bunch of bums, we don't need them. And my daughter is the one is going to bridge the gap and bring me back around and say, look, there's a practical purpose. There's a need for law enforcement, and not all law enforcement people are bad. I'm your daughter. You know that I'm not bad. So the father has to stop for a moment and take a real strong, serious look at law enforcement and reevaluate his path. And I know that this brilliant team of writers that we have, they're gonna find a way to punctuate that and move that forward. And I'm curious to see what's gonna happen, because I find myself as the character Cuddy right now, I'm swinging back and forth. I'm softening on some issues, and on some other issues, I'm not. But I don't want it to be one way or the other. I want it to be a good, strong mixture. And I have faith and belief that will happen.
Nice. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hello, this is Karan from Karanism.com and Love Music Pleasure. And I first want to thank both of you for your lifetime of artistry, for what you've given all of us over the years. My question really has to do with your characters, because they are where they are later in life, and their decisions are driven by purpose in a much different way than they anticipated. I'd like to know how that informs the way you act out these characters, and how, Niecy, this also informs you as executive producer.
Here's the thing. I was excited about playing a character in her second or third act, especially coming after the pandemic, when so many people went back to work and they had to, pivot very quickly to figure out where am I going to land? I used to do this, but now I'm gonna go over here and do this. So I liked that the story of it never being too late. It never, being a place where you can't begin again. I'm not even the same woman I was 15 minutes ago. So the evolution and the evolving and giving yourself the full permission to step flat-footed into something else, regardless of what anybody else will think about it, is really a parallel with Simone and Niecy, because I do what I want to do. and I ask how, well, you know what I mean? If I ask how you feel about it, this gonna be after I already did. You know what I mean? So if anybody looks at this woman and the space that she's taking up and the way she's taking it up and her agency in life and can take anything from it that they can tuck into their own life, I say we did some work here. We did some very good work because we did not only entertain you, but we gave you something to think about and bake into the way you move around in your life.
You know, I really enjoy learning from younger people. I enjoy reaching this tender age of over 40, which I am, without going into detail. But, you know, I'm informed by all the experiences I've had in my life. And I especially embrace the new experiences because I don't want to become one of those people who, you know, think that they know it all and think they've lived it all and done it all. I haven't. I open and I hear new ideas. I hear ideas coming from the generation behind me. I mean, whenever it's a very collaborative thing that happens on The Rookie, which I really love. That's the kind of way I like to work. But when Niecy and I, when we're working on a scene or something, if she's got an idea, something that I hadn't even thought about, it would come to me, and I'm open to receive it. And she's the same. We have that exchange. So it's important. It's important to be able to listen to that inner voice and hear those sounds that are different from the ones you've always had or thought you knew, because that's the only way the world can change and get better. So that's amazing for me.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, Katia Woods, Couple Soul Show in the Philadelphia Tribune. One of the things I do like a show, being a young, 50 plus myself, is at the message of being able to pivot and go after your dreams, and that life is not over when you get older. And I love especially what your character says, Niecy, where she says, I have to prove right now because I don't have time. Can you expound on that a little bit? How we send this message of that if you don't accomplish things by a certain age, that it's like over and done with. And I think you're a shining example of that. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, Niecy?
Sure. Well, I just think that, had Simone joined the Academy when she was 25, this would be a different series, right? But she got pregnant in college and said, well, let me have these children and be devoted to them and be home with them and do all of those things. So she was a mother first. And as the clock was ticking, she never, here's the breadcrumbs, that there was something that happened in her life that put a pause. It was a comma, not a period. So that when she went into being a guidance counselor, she said, well, I better go over here and volunteer at the computer lab because that's how I'm going to learn complex data research. Let me go over here and spend some time with the wrestling team, because when my chance does come, I want that takedown to be swift. Let me go over here and I'm going to also be the driving ed teacher while I'm at this school, because I want to know advanced pit maneuvers. So at every station in it all, and when I'm talking to these kids, I'm becoming an expert in human behavior, a human lie detector, a truth seeker. So even though she wasn't standing flat-footed and high, this is my first day at the Academy at this age, she was still, baby steps in the right direction are still progress. So she was taking those baby steps up until the time was running out for you to apply and be received. There is a cap on the age limit in the FBI. So she got right up to it, and her kids were graduating high school and on their way to college. And she was like, it's now or never. So let me get over here and see if I can get this next act of my life on track. And it makes me think about, I remember when I was 25 and I had done hair. I was a kitchen beautician. I had done hair all during, to make money during college. And my then husband said, if you want, I'll buy you a beauty salon. And I said, well, I wish you would have said that when I was 18. I'm too old now. At 25. You know what I mean? And now you done aged out of curling hair at 25. So I thought that I missed my chance. So I'm happy that this is a real story for real people to take a look at and glean from, that, you can always do a hard reset.
That's very, very fascinating and exciting to hear too, because I'm just thinking of the great playwright August Wilson, his character Troy from Fences. He says something to his wife Rose and his friend Bono. He says something like, there ought not to ever been anything called too old to do something. You can always do something if you get in the right mindset. And this Rookie Feds, it's about these two people who are embarking on new careers. I mean, new life passages. But Cuddy has been incarcerated for 8 years. He could either come out, take the money that they give him, and just sit up on his behind and do nothing, or he can be active in the community, moving forward, trying to promote change, trying to teach those who are coming behind and making the same mistakes. And the same thing with Simone. I mean, she wasn't satisfied being there, just being in guidance council, teacher and all that. She wanted to do something more proactive. And when her father sees that, or when she sees her father, I mean, they both have to just sort of like meet somewhere in the middle and say, hey, this is all good stuff. It's good change, and we can do it. And they're each other's best support system. I mean, one of the great moments I remember is when we were shooting the pilot for this, and I'm saying, 1 minute I'm saying, oh, I can't believe you want to go into this FBI, you want to do this. And I'm cursing her for doing all of this. And then she says, well, I may not make it. And then he flips. It's like, what do you mean? You may not make it. You're my daughter. Nobody's going to tell you you're not good enough to do anything you want to do. And you see it, it's so subtle and so quick and so transparent that he is in her corner, the same way she will be in his corner, as you will witness, throughout the episodes that are coming up in this show. So that's changes are good, and keeping and moving forward. No such thing as being too old to be in change, to be in that change motion. So that's exciting.
So this is for Alexi and Terrence. I love the fact that there are elements of jazz all throughout the show. I saw the jazz albums on the wall and I heard the jazz music. My show airs on a jazz station, so my ears perked up. What inspired the jazz music in the show?
When we first talking about this character, we were thinking about Los Angeles, Leimert Park, and that kind of that hub of great jazz. And we're thinking like, what if Simone came from this world, and what if Cuddy came from this world? And then what if, because of his incarceration, he ended up never picking up the trumpet again? They stole that music from him, and he was never, and that's one of the great tragedies of this thing, is that Cuddy has reinvented himself in a way, but then also in another way, he's lost another part of himself, which is he still loves jazz. You just look at his place and it's just covered with Miles Davis and Ella Fitzgerald. So it's gorgeous. And like we try to, every time we're in that in Cuddy's house, we usually got a music cue going with somebody playing something that's very jazzy. But the experience of being incarcerated stole it took away his music, and he lost it. And that's one of the things that we want to explore. God willing, we keep doing this show for years and years and years. And we want to be able to explore that and see what was the reason, what kind of broke him, that stole his song, stole his music. We're not going to be as great as August Wilson, the late great August Wilson that Frankie brought up. And of course, Tony nominated for Fences, by the way, let's not forget what he did there. but we want to like tap into that as well, let that be a part of who Cuddy is and the world where Simone came from. And we're going to hit that as we keep moving forward, as we keep telling stories.
Yeah, I mean, music's always been a big part of the Rookie and the Los Angeles of it all. And then so just going into Feds, it was like obviously it was the Cuddy character and his experience. But even when I was talking to the composer about score, it's like, how do we bring Simone's world in there? I mean, 20 years in DC, like what's that DC vibe that we're bringing in to sort of support her character while still living in the same Rookie landscape in terms of a sound, but how do we bring in those sounds into the show? And again, just sort of make it, very specific to these characters that we designed the show around.
Niecy, I want to ask you, at this point in your career, I'm sure that you receive a lot of different pitches and offers. What makes you say yes to a project?
Ooh, that's a good question. Writing, first of all, because, we're only able to do our job based on something that's on the page. So you want to read it. And how I know if I really like it is if I start reading the character that I'm supposed to take a look at out loud. Because, we don't read out loud anymore. You know what I mean? You just read in silence. So I'll start reading. And if it starts getting good, then the words that I'm reading taste good in my mouth. And so I start saying the words out loud, just even in my first read of it. That's like the first kind of inkling for me, like, oh, this is something. The other thing that I'm interested in is doing something I've never done before. And this is a woman whose story I have not told. You know what I mean? I've been mothers, I've been on the wrong side of the law, I've been a Keystone Cop, I've done a lot of different things. I've been a wife to Cedric the Entertainer on our show, but this particular single mother of a certain age, starting later in life, who is also a character who is fluid. I've never played that before. In Simone's world, it's more about the vibe than the gender. So there are so many different things that seemed interesting to me that I never played before. And with less than 1% of Black women making up FBI agents, their story, their voice, their face wasn't told. But this is the thing that will make little Black and brown girls say, I could be in the FBI. I want to do that. So it was multi-layered in terms of the reasons why I said, yes, please, and let's get going.
Thank you.
Hi, Nancy again. So my question is for all of you, if you can take a little bit of time to answer it. I wanted to know, with this show, what do you really hope that audiences will come away with? Like, what are the most important things that you think that audiences should feel and get from this show and the characters?
My top three would be that you can always begin again and reinvent yourself. That oftentimes, your closest family is not always the one you were born into. Family can sometimes be a choice. And lastly, that you can be cute and still fight crime.
Nice.
I'm gonna tell you something. It was that doggone Sherry Shepherd. That's my best friend. My best friend called me and said, you look, I don't even know, she FaceTimed me and was like, that's how you look? That's how you fighting crime? Why you looking all cute? And I said, cause I can. And here's the thing, what do you want me to do about it? It is what it is. And we have a consultant on our show, a Black woman who's in the FBI. I don't know if you can give last names of, that sort of thing, but we call her Miss Angie. Well, let me tell you something about Miss Angie, as cute as a damn button. I said, girl, you are a federal agent. What is going on? Cute jeans, she a sneakerhead, cute braids, always got on her pink lipstick. I said, baby, everything she got on, I wanted. I want to look just like this woman right here. And so I love that, you know, in our rookie world, I'm kind of considered a wild card, a unicorn, a secret weapon, because people don't think, especially in a procedural TV show, that you have to have the short bob, you have to have on a black suit with a white shirt, and you go get them. But honey, they gonna get all of this.
Nice.
That's my daughter. You watch her. She will go get
That's
them.
so funny. That's so funny, Frankie. You remember when we did that scene and I'm getting dressed for work and I look down, I go, Daddy, you think this is too much double stuff? He goes, well, you might want to button a button, you know, at least button one more button. And I say, no, I'm gonna live with it. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that sense of humor, I mean, especially in a procedural show, I mean, with, you know, law enforcement and all that, it gives the audience a chance to step back for a moment. And that's what I hope that the audiences get from this show, is the fact that people, they are someone outside of their job, of the way they function, you know, in this case, as a FBI agent or a police officer. You are also a mother, you're a daughter, you know, you're a friend, you're someone someone can consult with. I mean, you're all those things. And I want them to get that, so that in their lives, that even when they're watching this show, they'll understand that they're not just a TV audience, they're participants. And they should be able to move forward from what we've given them, enough that they can say, okay, I see that, and maybe in their own daily, everyday lives, that it'll make a difference, and they'll be able to just perform even better. So that is especially important to me. And that humor, and the element of humor, is very important. I mean, you know, you can say a lot of good things through humor. And I just, you know, we like to have fun. We like to enjoy it. And wherever there's a bite of humor to be found, we want to exploit it. And even though it's you know, some serious things that are going on here, and we deal with those too. So
that makes me think about, Frankie, another takeaway is that we do hope that the audience sees themselves. Yeah. We have characters who are equal opportunity daters, in terms of, you know what I'm saying, you know, like with Simone. We have characters who are dealing with health issues. We have characters going through really, really bad breakups. We have characters who are only judged because they're, you know, fetching to look at. We have characters, you know, who are so full in their own stories. We all come together as a collective, but when you watch it, you will find someone that you identify with. If it's not you, then you see them as someone that you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, for me, I want people to enjoy themselves watching the show. I think we all do. You know, watching out of the show, you enjoy yourself, and, you know, we could take some of your worries away, but in the deep core, you know, what we're really talking about here is, you know, we're meant to evolve. We're meant to change. We're not meant to just be static. And this is a show that hopefully reminds people, it reminds me that no one can tell you no. No one can say that you can't do this thing or whatever it is you want to do. I mean, literally, I think about myself from the South Side of Chicago, and here I am co-running, co-creating this network TV show. I got no business being here, but I worked hard. A lot of people told me no. A lot of people wouldn't give me a chance, but I kept pushing forward, just like Simone is doing, just like Cuddy is doing, just like all the people in the show are doing. And I think that's inspirational. And we don't hold up a sign and say, look, it's message. But it's like that's in the DNA of what we're doing here. And I hope that lets people know that it's never too late. We keep saying that. It's never too late to have that second act, third act. Why let people say no to you? If you want something, you might have to work harder to get it, but you can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to add to that. I mean, I do think that the aspirational nature is still important. I do think that having people have something to look forward to watching and find some escapism in, but also to see themselves represented, and then to really, I mean, you know, it's important to us that we show Simone as an advocate for herself, because she has to be, because, as a Black woman who's grown up in this country, like, you have to do that. But a lot of times that just comes across threatening. And so for us to do that in a way that just is empowering for her, and sort of the characters around her embrace it, or even if they struggle with her being outside the box, or a wild card, or a torpedo looking for a target, so to speak, that just sort of showing that and sort of embracing that is also, subconsciously affecting the conversation in a way that we have the opportunity to do on network television.
And what I really appreciate about Alexi and Terrence is when we first had these conversations about me doing this show and becoming Simone, one of the things that was important to me, I said, are you going to have any women that look like me in that writer's room? Because I need somebody to advocate for me when I'm not there. So that when you were writing these scripts, let me tell you something. I have been on TV shows where every script I'm calling going, who can I talk to about this? What's going on here? Let me tell you something. Those are not conversations that I'm having, because there are voices in the room that explain things that I don't have to then get on the phone and explain. And all I got to do is just be Simone. I don't have to, run in behind things and try to explain why this and why that, and so I am grateful for that, because even in the writing, I know somebody is in that room advocating for me. I can tell when I read it. And that's a gift.
Nice. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing more of the show.
Thank you.
Hello, Karan again. So this show is about change. It's about a lot of changes in the system, changes with the families, changes with the people. But there's one thing that remains the same. And this is the funniest thing to me about this show. I don't care how old your kids are, they always move back home. Always move back home. I have adult children. I have my grandson turns 18 this week, and I am really just so glad to see myself in these characters. But I thought it was just hilarious, the relationship between Cuddy and Simone, and how they are establishing a new kind of baseline for how they relate to one another. Do you have that experience as well? Do you share that experience with your characters?
Well, I don't. When all my kids moved out the first time, I bought a house and took up every room in it. So, and then I even went a step further. I don't have carpet anywhere, so you can't even sleep on the floor. Somebody visit, but you definitely can't stay. And I would move heaven and earth to keep them out. So I don't have that experience yet. Do I think it could happen? Unfortunately, but I'm trying very, very hard for it to not happen.
Well, I'm of the mindset, I want my children, when they go, to go and to be gone, but to be there at the same time. So, and I've had kids in my family. I have 3 daughters, and they float back in sometimes and float out, right? But right now, they're of the age that the door won't open for them to really actually come back unless it's some sort of tragedy or something, or if I don't have the ability to set them up and put them in an apartment of their own or something like that. But the door is always open. It's always open. They're your children, your grandchildren or whatever. You embrace them, you love them, you do everything in the world you can to make them successful and happy human beings. So don't worry, you're a grown-up child. It's fine. I think it's fine. I mean, and I think with Cuddy and Simone, it's glorious. I mean, because Cuddy has been, look at all the things he gets to share with her. She gets to chime in about, his relationships, and he gets to chime in about how confused he is about hers. We don't know what you're going to be bringing in next time, but it's right there. And plus, there's been a void. He's missed so many years from the time that he was incarcerated that he didn't get. So he's getting to learn and know his daughter all over again. But the one thing that they always had was respect and love for each other. And that will carry you to the end of time.
I think our relationship is like a lot of parents. Your bark about you coming back here, you bringing all that stuff, when you gonna move out? But in your heart of hearts, you're happy that they're there.
Yeah, so don't ever write her out, going, leaving, getting her own place.
Oh, I might to see how you like that.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't even like thinking about it now. No, I want you there. There's comfort there, man. It's comfort. You know, like when you get up in the morning, you come downstairs and you see somebody at the table who might be me or not. You're like, Dad, you know, it's great. You just take it for granted. Don't take her away, regardless of what. I'll keep a room in my house for my daughter always. I'm saying that now.
Awesome.
I love it. Thank you. I think I'm going to take Nisi's advice and get some hardwood floors. Thank you.
Well, that could be tricky because my oldest daughter, she likes to sleep on hardwood floors. You know, this is that new age. They like to they're into all this yoga and all that stuff, you know. So Nisi, you better watch out. You may have to get you some disappearing floors, you know, floors that disappear.
Hi guys, it's Kaki again. Karan stole a little bit of my thunder. I'm the opposite. I'm Latina. We don't kick our kids out. We keep our kids tight.
No.
But I did want to talk about that aspect because I think that is really, really important. A lot of us are in that in-between age where we have kids of our own, but we're almost like we're starting to parent our parents. That dynamic is very different. And, you know, although we are mature and we are in charge of our lives, but when we're around our parents, at least the way most of us were raised, no matter how grown we are, we still are like, whatever, you know, we defer. And I love that fact that although she's a woman and she's mature and she has her own life and her own personality, she still is very respectful towards her father, whose idea was to make sure that there's that balance where Nisi's character has her identity, but at the same time still is respectful to her father, which I think is very important to see on television and for Black fatherhood.
Well, let me just say this. Even if it were not written that way, that would have been something we would have had a conversation about. You know, in our community, you see it all the time. I don't care if you're on a plane, you in the grocery store, or wherever you are. When you see a child say or do something, even if you're watching TV, you look at the person next to you and go, it wouldn't have been me in my house. I wouldn't have been able to say that to my mama. So there is an inherent way, because Simone is the age that she is. That was old school parenting. You understand what I'm saying? That wasn't like, you know, whatever the new things are that they're doing now, that they tell you the way we did it back then was wrong. I was raised the old school way. So in that old school way, the age that Frankie and I are now, we have to play that dynamic the real way. You know what I mean? And so the reality of how we are as a people is the part of that truth that is going to be baked in this series. You know, we did a Thanksgiving episode and we were having dinner at the end, and, you know, it was like, okay, we're just going to get, you know, random shots of you guys just eating and passing out food. And it was at the moment, and then someone said, and Frankie will make everybody's plate. And I said, 1 second. I said, the elder is not making plates for all these young kids. Is not what we do. The food can be laid out. You make your own plate. I said, and not only that, but if you really want to tell this story right, because these people are in our house, you need to get a shot of us standing around this table holding hands with our head back. And then you go around and everybody say what they're thankful for, because that's what we do. And if you really want to take it another step further, I wouldn't be dolled up in the middle of the night. Can somebody run and go get me a robe and some house shoes? Because we didn't get to this dinner till late. So there are things like that, even though it may seem like not a big deal to some people, when you're from this community and you look at it, you will be able to say what's authentic and what's not. But because people are so amenable around here, it's like, great, get her to roll. Frankie, you sit down, everybody make your plate. And we made it look as realistic as it looks in all of our homes.
And this is one of the amazing things about Niecy and the whole cast is that if we, the writers and producers, like miss something or drop the ball on something, they'll take care of it on the fly. And just, again, adding that brilliant specificity to it that makes it a little more honest and makes you just fall in love with all the characters on the show because they're so real.
And let me throw this in. Not that I was asked this question, but one thing I love about the people, Terrence and Alexi, is that when you are an actor who is often an executive producer, most of the times it's a vanity title. And people don't listen to you because you don't really say anything. You just get an extra check and you go somewhere and you do whatever is on the page. But I love that I have a real voice. I love that I have real add value. I have been doing one thing for 30 years and I got something to say. And I don't have to fight to be heard. So I just, in this moment, I want to say thank you to the both of you because I've been in spaces and places where you are pushed aside and shoved under the rug and you sound like a clamoring bell because nobody is listening. And I'm very, very blessed to be at a place, you know, because I'm not going to tell you that that extra check is bad because I like that too. But being heard has more add value to my soul.
And ultimately, it's just for better television. I'll be honest with you, because Niecy's really smart. And so every time she comes out of something, it's like, oh yeah, let me write that down. So it's an honor.
And it does come down to, I mean, what you were talking about before in terms of putting voices in the room, putting perspectives in the room that are real and that are valuable to the show. And I'm sure you've experienced this, but a lot of writers' rooms over the years have been very one note, shall we say. And so you do end up having to do all the heavy lifting because nobody's there representing you. And so, you know, I think for us that the smartest thing we do is put people in those rooms, put people around you and even cast actors who have a perspective that's not our own. You know, at the end of the day, you know, you and I have had very different lives. So how could I not embrace, you know, what you have to bring to this, both on a character level, as an actor, as a storyteller, all that kind of stuff, because that's where it's real, right? I mean, otherwise you're just making a goofy television show that's not grounded at all. So, you know, we're fools if we don't embrace that.
Yeah, and there'll be times when Niecy will give me a call and say, you know, it'd be good for this role, such and such. I'm like, oh, I don't know if we'll get them. I'll call them right now. Wait, what? Next 5 minutes later, they're on the set. How did that happen?
That's good too.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Terrence, Alexi, Frankie, and Niecy, we just love the show and are looking forward to watching it for many, many, many seasons to come. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, thank you. And thank you for watching this episode of AAFCA Roundtables. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.